Visiting Portugal is to discover a remarkably diverse destination. Inextricably linked with the sea, the country has more than 800 kilometers of enticing Atlantic Ocean coastline. Lisbon, the capital city, enjoys a stunning location near the mouth of the river Tagus. From here, trailblazing mariners set sail in the 15th and 16th centuries on epic voyages of discovery, and Portugal has nurtured a proud seafaring tradition ever since. Portugal's interior melds dramatic northern mountain ranges with the vast rolling plains of the country's sun-baked central regions. In the south, some of the best beaches in Europe flank picturesque coves and warm, shallow waters. Dotted throughout are stone-built villages, enchanting towns, and cosmopolitan cities where historic palaces and castles, museums and monasteries are waiting to be explored. And traveling to Portugal can also mean a visit to the verdant, subtropical island of Madeira, the garden isle of the isolated, but tranquil Azores archipelago. Belém is synonymous with Portugal's golden age of discovery. It's from the shores of this Lisbon suburb that intrepid navigators set sail in the 15th and 16th centuries on long and perilous voyages to chart unknown waters and map new territories. One such mariner, Vasco da Gama, discovered the sea route to India in 1498, and to honor his achievement, King Manuel I commissioned a monument that became a lasting symbol of the country's astonishing era of conquest and expansion. Today, the Mosteiro dos Jerónimos is one of the country's most cherished and revered buildings, and a must-see on every tourist's agenda. The church and monastery embody the spirit of the age, and feature some of the finest examples of Manueline architecture found anywhere in Portugal. The beautifully embellished decoration found on the south portal is breathtaking. Inside, the beautiful cloister is equally exuberant. Appropriately, the church houses the tomb of Vasco da Gama and other national figureheads, including Luís de Camões, Portugal's greatest poet and chronicler of the discoveries. Arguably Portugal's most popular and family-friendly visitor attraction, Lisbon's Oceanarium is brilliantly conceived to highlight the world's diverse ocean habitats. This is one of Europe's best and largest oceanariums, containing a vast array of fish and marine animals. 4 separate sea and landscapes recreate the ecosystems of the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Antarctic Oceans. A huge central tank, visible from different levels, teems with shark, ray, and many other finned wonders and denizens of the deep. The transparent plexiglass design is such that smaller tropical species housed in separate aquaria set around the main tank appear to be swimming with their larger cousins. Complementing this amazing spectacle are the open-air landscapes where penguins, sea otters, and other cute and cuddly birds and mammals coexist in carefree harmony. Nesting in the lap of a wooded mountain range, Sintra's stunning location is reason enough to visit this charming, verdant town. Indeed, UNESCO acknowledges the destination as a World Heritage cultural landscape, such as its beauty and the significance of the collection of historic visitor attractions clustered in and around the old town, Sintra Velha. A favorite summer retreat for the kings and queens of Portugal and an alluring destination for numerous writers and poets, including Lord Byron and William Beckford, Sintra exudes romance. The old town is a maze of cobbled lanes, lined with handsome town houses painted in pastel hues of pink, mustard, and lilac. The narrow streets surround a pretty central square that's dominated by the wonderful Palacio Nacional de Sintra. Easily recognized by its huge conical chimneys, Sintra's national palace dates from the late 14th century and is the oldest surviving palace in Portugal. Regally furnished, the building is set over several floors, many conveying a unique theme and decorated accordingly. A highlight is the magnificent Sala dos Braços, a glittering domed hall embellished with the coats of arms of 72 noble Portuguese families. One of Portugal's best-loved historic monuments and a Lisbon icon, the Torre de Belém stands as a symbol of the age of discovery and the voyages of exploration undertaken in the 15th and 16th centuries. Completed in 1521 as a fortress to defend the approaches to the river Tagus, the tower is regarded as a masterpiece of military architecture. Designed in the Manueline style by Francisco de Ruda, the facade is a confection of beautifully carved stone, typified by maritime motifs such as twisted rope and the armillary sphere. An impressive Renaissance loggia heightens the decoration. The tower's cultural significance is such that UNESCO has listed it as a World Heritage Site. Dominating the charming riverside town of Tomar is a mighty castle that shields the Convento de Cristo, one of Portugal's standout historic attractions. Founded in 1160 as the headquarters of the Order of the Knights Templar, the Convent of Christ is as awe-inspiring as it is mysterious, its Masonic heritage tangible and beguiling. At its center is the medieval Chair, the original Templar church, richly decorated and exuding all the strange symbolism associated with the Order of Christ. The 16th-century cloisters bewitch with Manueline flourishes and tease visitors with the concealed spiral staircases. And the convent's magnificent Manueline window, designed by master sculptor Diogo de Arruda, remains one of the most architecturally appealing aspects of any building found in Portugal. Read more top tourist attractions in Tomar. Easy day trips. Bom Jesus da Monte, Portugal's grandest religious sanctuary, is located on a wooded slope 6 kilometers east of Braga and is one of the most important pilgrimage sites in the country. Comprising a monumental Baroque escadaria stairway and the Church of Bom Jesus, this spectacular complex also features several chapels adorned with sculptured scenes from the Passion of Christ, fountains positioned at various points on the long ascent, and statues of biblical, mythological, and symbolic figures. Climbing the lower section of the 116-meter-long ornamental granite staircase is to slowly zigzag past a steep sacred way with chapels showing the 14 stations of the cross. Midway, the white, interleaved Escadario dos Cinco Sentidos depicts the 5 senses by way of finely carved statuary. The final section is the staircase of the 3 virtues representing faith, hope, and charity that leads to the church. Your efforts will be rewarded with an inspiring panorama of the surrounding countryside. For the less active, a vintage 1882 funicular whisks visitors to the top in just 3 minutes. Read more 8 top tourist attractions in Braga. Easy day trips. The Universidade de Coimbra is Portugal's oldest seat of learning, founded in 1290 by King Dinis. Acknowledged by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, the historic buildings of the Villa Universidade, or Old Coimbra University, surround a beautiful colonnaded central square, the Paco das Escalas. The altar and Sophia wings of the university, a former royal residence, reward visitors with a number of star features, including the astonishing Biblioteca Joanina, a sumptuously decorated library installed in 1717 by King João V. A tour also takes in the dazzlingly ornate 16th-century Capela de São Miguel. Those with a head for heights can climb the landmark 18th-century clock tower for a grand perspective over Coimbra, one of the country's most attractive cities. Read more 12 top tourist attractions in Coimbra. Easy day trips. Lisbon is blessed with some truly world-class museums, and one of the finest is the Museu de Gulbenkian. The museum's collection numbers some 6,000 pieces, all of which belonged to just one man, Calouste Sarkis Gulbenkian, a wealthy Armenian oil magnate who bequeathed his priceless hoard to the Portuguese nation upon his death in 1955. Quite simply, this is one of the finest collections of art in Europe. The exhibits span more than 4,000 years, from classical and oriental antiquity to European art of the early 20th century. No other museum has such varied pieces of art from so many places in the world, and visitors can spend hours mulling over treasures such as the 11 Roman medallions found in Egypt, 16th-century illustrated manuscripts, masterpieces by Rubens, Rembrandt, and Turner, Louis XV and Louis XVI furniture, and Art Nouveau jewelry made by René Lalique. The museum lies in beautiful lush gardens that are perfect for picnics, especially during the summer months. Read more 20 top-rated tourist attractions in Lisbon, the birthplace of the nation and where Portugal's first monarch, Dom Afonso Henriques, was born in 1110. Guimarães was once the capital of the Kingdom of Portugal. Recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site for its collection of historic monuments grouped in and around the Old Town Centre, it is the Castelo de Guimarães that best symbolizes the role played by the town in defining the nation's culture and tradition. It even appears on the Portuguese coat of arms. Originally built in the 10th century, but substantially extended by Henry of Burgundy 2 centuries later, the stronghold, on an elevated outcrop of granite, comprises a central keep, the Torre de Managem, surrounded by massive battlements and fortified towers. Dom Afonso was baptized in the tiny Romanesque chapel of São Miguel, located just outside the castle walls, and visitors can peek inside the diminutive space to see the font. A walk along the ramparts is inspiring, but for the best views, climb the keep. Read more top tourist attractions in Guimarães. Easy day trips. The spindly, needle-like Torre de Clérigos is one of Oporto's defining landmarks. Standing 75 meters above the streets and overlooking the old town, this slender tower was built in the 18th century by Niccolò Nasoni and exudes a bold sense of the Baroque. Designed as part of the Igreja dos Clérigos, the tower was completed in 1763 and at the time was the tallest building in Oporto. To reach the top, visitors need to climb upwards of 200 steps, but the huffing and puffing will all be forgotten as you embrace truly magnificent views of the city and the River Douro. Read more. 14 top-rated tourist attractions in Porto. Its commanding position crowning a hill and overlooking Lisbon's bustling Baixa downtown district defines Castelo de São Jorge as the city's most visible historic monument. Hugely popular with locals and tourists alike, the foundations of this impressive castle date from the late 12th century when King Afonso Henriques recaptured the city from the Moors and built a palace over the ruins of the hilltop citadel. In 1511 the royal residence was extended and reinforced with sturdy battlements. The Great Earthquake of 1755 leveled much of the structure, and what remains today is largely the result of substantial renovation. Exploring the castle is great fun. Visitors can walk the ramparts and the castellated towers, one of which, Torre de Ulisses, has a camera obscura that projects views of the city onto the inside walls. The walls enclose an archaeological site with the remains of the original Alcacova Palace and ancient Moorish foundations. The observation terrace near the entrance affords the most spectacular views across Lisbon and the river. Read more. 20 top-rated tourist attractions in Lisbon. Set deep in southern Portugal, sun-baked Alentejo province is ever one of the country's most enchanting cities. The Romans established themselves here in BC 57, but it was under Moorish rule that the town began to take shape, its maze of narrow lanes and alleys typical of Islamic urban design. Christian reconquest saw the construction of the S.Sands Evora's impressive cathedral and one of several stunning visitor attractions in the old town. Consecrated in 1204, this celebrated religious building melds the Romanesque with the Gothic and the Baroque, and after admiring the interior, visitors can nip up to the roof, which offers fantastic views over the vicinity. Nearby is Evora's most iconic monument, the Roman Temple. Erected in the 2nd or 3rd century AD, this is the most impressive Roman building in the country. In fact, Evora's historic legacy is such that UNESCO has declared the destination a World Heritage Site. Read more. 12 top tourist attractions in Évora. Easy day trips. The majestic National Palace and Monastery of Mafra looms over the pleasant countryside town of Mafra and represents an outstanding example of Bordeaux's success. Work began in 1717 on what was originally supposed to be a simple monastery and basilica, commissioned by Dom João V to honor the birth of the king's first child. But as wealth from Brazil swelled the royal coffers, the project took on a new dimension and eventually, a huge Baroque palace was built, lavishly decorated with exotic furnishings and numerous works of art. A tour allows access to the monastery, palace, church, and basilica. The undoubted highlight is the sumptuous marble-floored library where more than 40,000 rare and precious books line Rococo-style wooden bookcases, one of the most important collections of manuscripts and literature in Europe. Read more. Mosteiro Palacio Nacional de Mafra. A visitor's guide. The Municipal Museum in Lagos holds the quirkiest collection of archaeology and ethnography in the Algarve. The wonderfully eclectic display of local handicrafts, curios, and artifacts perfectly illustrates the region's diverse culture and heritage and includes items like an altarpiece handcrafted from cork and a realistic homemade scale model of an imaginary Algarve village. A highlight is the impressive Opus Vermiculatum Roman mosaic, unearthed in 1933 by the museum's founder, Dr. José Formacinho. Tours conclude with a visit to the Igreja de Santo Antonio and a dazzling interior of ornate gilded carvings and decorative azulejos panels. Read more. Top tourist attractions in Lagos. Easy day trips. As Xelb, Silves was once the capital city of Moorish Algarve, and the Arabs named the region Algarbe. During the early 12th century, the town was renowned as a center of learning, a place where Islamic writers, philosophers, and geographers gathered. To protect the inhabitants, the Moors built a mighty castle on an elevated position overlooking the town. Captured later by Crusaders, the fortress stands today as a permanent reminder of Moorish domination and Christian reconquest. It is the most impressive historic monument in the Algarve, and its huge walls of red sandstone color the pleasant riverside town of Silves below with an inviting ochre glow. Visit during early August and revel in the annual medieval festival set outside the sturdy battlements. Read more top tourist attractions in Faro and easy day trips. Porto's alluring medley of visitor attractions includes the city's former stock exchange building, the beautiful Palacio da Bolsa. Built by merchants in the mid-19th century on a site where the monastery of São Francisco once stood, the palace lies within the old city boundaries and as such enjoys UNESCO World Heritage status. The dazzling interior reflects the wealth pouring into the city at that time, and a tour of the ornate rooms and galleries reveals a grandness and richness as extravagant as any royal palace. Epitomizing this opulence is the incredible Salão Arab, the Arabian room. Inspired by the Alhambra in Granada, the magnificently gilded salon is wrapped in blue and gold Moorish-style decoration that shimmers like Aladdin's cave. Read more 14 top-rated tourist attractions in Porto hotels.